Kalyuga memory. So Pandava's mood was always they always felt that they are protected by Krishna and they were always dependent on Krishna. So Krishna always protected them and they never felt that there's anything wrong. Arjuna was very grateful. This is basically in this chapter Arjuna is talking. So it starts by Arjuna was very despondent. Why was he despondent? Why was he sad? Krishna had left. So Krishna had left and Yudhishthira Maharaj asked him so many questions. Why are you feeling like this? Why are you feeling like this? And finally, when he concluded that Arjuna has not done anything wrong, and if he's still so miserable, there's only one reason for that, and that was Krishna went back, concluded his pastimes here. Then we discussed how Arjuna attributed every good thing that happened in his life to Krishna. And we had one whole session on what quality? Gratitude. Gratitude. That how we should feel grateful. Any good thing that happens in our life, we should feel grateful to whom? Krishna. In general, what happens whenever something good happens? What does a person think? I did it. I did it. See how great I am, or see how intelligent I am, or see how smart I am that I could do something like this. Whereas I'm nothing. And that is proved many more times than when the good things happen. And so many mess ups happen in our life, which show us that actually we are not in control. Yeah? We can't even control yawning. In school, always the teachers say, don't yawn. It's जानबूझ के कोई yawn नहीं करता है. Don't yawn. But it's not in your... Anyone can control yawning. Small thing like yawning. Anyone here who's mastered the art of not yawning? It's such a small thing here. We don't have control when our mouth will go big and the air will come out. We don't know yawning. Can anyone control sleep? You can disturb your sleep for few minutes, maybe few hours, but you cannot not sleep for one whole day. Our body will stop functioning. Can we control our bodily urges? We have to go to the bathroom. We cannot control small things like this. Can we control our tongue? Pachar. We always go on blabbering. The urges of the belly. We want good food. We want to eat tasty things. We can't control all these things. And we think we can control our destiny. Yawning control होता नहीं है और destiny control करेंगे. मेरे वजह से हो रहा है सब कुछ. No. So it's happening because of Krishna. Ultimately, Krishna says, in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, ultimately, he is the sanctioner of everything. Modes of material nature are going as per him. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sa characharam. Vitunane kauntaya jagat viparivartate. Krishna tells Arjuna, this entire material world is moving because of me. That includes our life. That includes our karma. Therefore, whenever anything good happens in our life, we should always offer gratitude to Krishna. And there are, even the fact that we are able to breathe and we are able to eat, we should offer gratitude to Krishna for it. Because there are so many people who don't even have that much. What to speak of we coming in Krishna consciousness? That is a complete different level. And we have so many things to feel grateful to Krishna for. How many of you tried this, after getting up and before sleeping, offered one thank you prayer to Krishna? Okay, very good. Wow, very good. So many of you. Very nice, very encouraging. So this is a very basic thing. When we get up, thank you, Krishna. Please bless me that this day goes without screwing up. This day goes in your service. Ideally that, but wo nahi to, at least let me not screw up. And at the end, before sleeping, we should not doze off looking at the mobile phone. Very mindfully, it should be a mindful process of, okay, thank you, Krishna, for today. I apologize whatever, mistakes I have done today. Please forgive me. Please bless me that tomorrow I can use the day in your service. So this is called gratitude. Feeling grateful to Krishna. express gratitude. And last Saturday, Krishna Premanand Prabhu discussed about reversals in the life of a devotee. He gave example of Parikshit Maharaj. What other example he gave? Gajendra. And how a devotee feels that, okay, it's Krishna's mercy. He wants to remove these things from my life. So we feel grateful to Krishna. So we go to today's few verses. Very interesting verses from this chapter, and Prabhupada gives wonderful purports to it. So we'll discuss verse 21. Tadvai dhanusta isava saratho hayaste. Soham rathi nripitayo yat anamanti. Sarvam shanena tad adbhuya. Sarvam shanena tad adbhuya dasad ishariktam. Bhasman hutam kuhat kuhakaradham ivoktam usyam. Arjuna continues, he says that I have the very same Gandiva bow, the same arrows, the same chariot, drawn by the same horses, and I use them as the same Arjuna, to whom all these kings offered their due respects. But in the absence of Lord Krishna, all of them, at a moment's notice, have become null and void. It is exactly like offering clarified butter on ashes, accumulating money with a magic wand, or sowing seeds on a barren land. Very, very nicely, Arjuna is saying that, we say sometimes we feel, I did the same thing at the same time, in the same way. And उस दिन हुआ आज suddenly वो पहले होता था अभी suddenly बंद हो गया पता नहीं क्या वो and then we'll conclude कुछ बुरा टाइम चल रहा है मेरा या we'll conclude यार शनि शुरू हो गया है या ये हो गया है वो हो गया है. This happens to us, that suddenly our so-called, we call luck. There's nothing about luck. There's no luck. There's no luck in the material world. It's karma. And ultimately it's Krishna. But we see that suddenly things don't work. So Arjuna is saying, वही same bow, वही same arrow, वही same घोड़ा, मैं भी वही, वो लोग भी वही. But पहले तो थार, Gandhivdari Arjun, everyone used to fall apart and I used to go ahead. And now these, cowherd people I couldn't defeat. And they basically kidnapped Krishna's wives. Previous verse you must have read. So, what is Arjuna? We may say, luck kharab hai, shani hai. What is Arjuna saying? Absence of Krishna. Krishna didn't want it. That time Krishna wanted it. That time Krishna wanted it. See, there is one thing, it's not very difficult to thank God in good things. If we still don't do it, then, bhusa bhara hai sir ke andar. Then basically the sign of being too puffed up. It's not very difficult to thank God when good things happen. But when bad things happen, to think, okay, Krishna didn't will it. That is actually a sign of some devotee with some substance. That when difficult times come in life, at that time to think, okay, this was also Krishna's will. And Krishna didn't want it. No problem. I'll continue. If Krishna didn't want it, what is there to feel upset about? Right? So that is what Arjuna is saying. Now, Prabhupada extracts a very nice principle from this. The first line of the purport, please pay attention. The first line of the purport, Prabhupada says, as we have discussed more than once, one should not be puffed up by borrowed plumes. Means, it's all, whatever we have is ultimately Krishna's. It's all part of the material energy which is Krishna's. So if it is taken away, or if I don't have it anymore, was it mine anyway? It was borrowed. Right? Prabhupada says, my father used to tell me, if Krishna wants to take from you, Krishna has 10 hands. Vishnu, various incarnations, different hands. So Krishna has 10 hands. If he wants to take from you, how much can you protect with your 2 hands? Someone with 10 hands wants to take, or suppose 5 people, better example, 5 people with two hands come and try to attack us. How much will we try to protect with 2 hands? And Prabhupada said, my father used to also say, and if Krishna wants to give with his 10 hands, how much will we be able to accept with our 2 hands? That means, अगर जो कृष्णा को करना है वो होगा. And then what is the sign of an intelligent devotee? If this example, if this principle is there, whatever Krishna wants will happen. Then what will an intelligent devotee do? Go with the flow and accept. Right? Just accept. Okay, fine. Krishna didn't want this. Okay, fine. Krishna wanted this. So Prabhupada is saying, this kind of an attitude, what quality should it bring out? When we know that, okay, everything is borrowed. Like people who stay on rent. Now, there are certain things only you can do at home. You can't do much beyond that. Right? You understand? Rent पे रह रहे हो, क्या वो ये तोड़ना, वो करना. It's not my business only. It doesn't matter because I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. Right? Whereas someone who owns a place, they are much more attached to it than someone who's on rent. वहां पे लीकेज है, वो सोचते क्या फर्क पड़ता है, नेक्स्ट ईयर कहीं और चले जाएंगे, मेरा थोड़ी है. What if it's yours? It's like, as if, some chimney has failed. If there's leakage in your quote unquote owned property, quote unquote owned, right? As if you created the elements from which it was made, but we feel so attached to it. अरे बाप रे, ये पेंट निकल गया, अरे बाप रे ये टूट रहा है, अरे बाप रे दीवार दरवाजा टूट गया and all. So when this kind of an attitude is there, that this owned also, including my own body, it all is Krishna's and whatever Krishna wants will happen. What kind of a quality should be developed based on this? Detachment, humility, right? Prabhupada says in the purport, it brings out humility. That nothing is mine. It belongs to Krishna. Forget things, even my qualities. Even the qualities that I have from which I earn money. Those are blessings of Krishna. Right? Somebody can speak well, somebody can have good convincing skills, somebody has good intelligence, somebody has good critical thinking, somebody is very creative. Right? All these skills are there. Ultimately, blessings of the Lord. So it should bring humility. And जो आ भी रहा है ना, जो मैं कर भी रहा हूँ, it's all by the mercy of the Lord. In this whole Govardhan Leela that happened, Krishna did that whole thing just to teach Indra humility. At the end, when Indra came and offered prayers and apologized, Krishna said, Indra, you are becoming very puffed up. And because of that, I have to do this. Those Brajvasis, they offered Indra Puja every year. They used to do. And before that year, every other year, during that time, what they used to do? They used to worship Lord Indra. Right? Indra was their Ishtadev. They used to worship Indra. So many years he got the worship of the Brajvasis. That 1 year he didn't get. And he became so offended. How dare they? He didn't think, 1000 साल से जिया है, 1 साल में उन लोग को छूट देता था ना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? He instantly forgot. And he instantly thought, how dare they? If you see little Krishna, how dare they? So, Indra forgot. Similarly, we, अरे अभी तक इतना हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, वो हो रहा है, अच्छा सडनली कुछ हो गया, भगवान ऐसे कैसे कर दिया आपने मेरे साथ, इतना माला पे माला कर रहे हो हम लोग, कैसे किया, very bad. So we should not act like Indra. At that time, what should we expect? What Lord Brahma says. Tatenu kampasu samikshamana bhunjanya eva tunakritam vipakam hridva gvapubi vedana namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya. Lord Brahma says to Krishna, Brahma also screwed up. Right? The big demigods got bewildered by Krishna's Leela. So Brahma told Krishna that, you know, a sign of a genuine devotee is one who in difficult times also worships you. And such a person who in difficult times worships you, considering their difficulty to be their karma, is going to go back home, back to water. Right? So when difficult times come, we should think, mere wajah se hai. It's my karma. Something bad happened in my life, it's my karma. At least see all the good things that Krishna has also done in spite of that. So Krishna told Indra, specifically I did all this, stopped your Indra Puja and lifted Govardhan Hill, mainly to teach you humility. So that also shows that Krishna will not leave his devotee. Krishna says, Api chetsu duracharo bhajate ma mananya bhav sadhur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito isa. He said that even if my devotee does some wrong activity, if they realize it and if they continue in devotional service, I consider them sadhur eva samantavya. Sadhur eva samantavya. I consider them just like sadhu. Samyak vyavasito isa. Because they are situated rightly. And next verse he tells Arjuna, Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi na me bhakta pranashati. Arjuna, you declare it boldly. Because everyone knows, if my devotee says something, I will follow. So you say that a devotee of Krishna will never perish. Krishna will take care of them. So this punishing somebody is also taking care. We were punished by our parents. Some people more, some less, but everyone, or so many of you are parents, punish your children. That is not out of hatred. Not punishing is actually a lack of concern. Right? It's out of love. That punishment is out of love because they will learn or they will become better people. So when something difficult happens in our life, and if by that we can learn some good Vaishnava quality, that is actually the fatherly love of Krishna. So he's showing he could have just neglected Indra, completely neglected Indra. ठीक है करो ना इंद्रा पूजा करो खत्म करो. But he saw no, this fellow is getting so puffed up, and so I need to bring him down. So he said, stop this Indra puja. So this is the Lord's way of showing his love. It's called tough love. But a devotee understands that, okay, it is for my benefit because it will bring me closer to Krishna if we take it in the right spirit. Prabhupada says, and all of this is because, in the Prabhupada writes, all energy and power is derived. So, Prabhupada says material civilization without the at that time they were being made. And so Prabhupada and the devotees were driving by, and so Prabhupada, the devotees showed Prabhupada, see Prabhupada, these two towers are being made and they're going to be very, very tall towers. And Prabhupada said, see, so much endeavor people are doing for material civilization. if a fraction of this endeavor they do in the service of the Lord, they'll be so happy. Whereas all this endeavor which they are doing will eventually be destroyed. You see, no? Things are made, things are broken. Things are made, things are broken. Buildings are made, they are redeveloped. They are made, they are redeveloped. Bodies are made, they grow, they mature, they dwindle, they die. Proof. 3 बार आया. बंद करो. One more point about this child's play. Another angle of this child's play is children can play till the time the parents allow them to play. And if the parents want, bas karo khelna, child has to follow. So Krishna is allowing us to do all these activities. Right? He's saying, if you want to misuse your karma, what can I do? If you want to misuse your free will, what can I do? You do. But it cannot go beyond the scope of Krishna. Prabhupada in the Bhagavad Gita gives the analogy of the sky and the air. He says, the air can flow within the sky. It cannot go beyond the sky. Similarly, within our karma, we can do whatever activities we want, but not beyond it. So material civilization without the blessings of the Lord is simply child's play. It has no value. Can we think of some examples of this principle, that this civilization advancement that we are doing, which is non-God conscious, is actually leading to a ulterior effect. It's leading to the opposite effect. Some things which were meant to be beneficial are actually leading the opposite effect because of this principle, that they are not as per the guidelines of the Lord. Now, I can give one example. When this mobile phone, it was supposed to make our life easier. But you ask anybody, बहुत स्ट्रेस है, घर पे जाओ तो भी ये मोबाइल तो बजते रहता ना कुछ काम आते रहते. पहले वो सादा मोबाइल था, अभी उसमें हमने ईमेल डाल दिया, उसमें हमने ये गूगल डाल दिया, उसमें हमने फेसबुक डाल दिया. It always goes on. But the flip side to it is, for devotees, they can take darshan of the Lord, they can hear lectures, they can stay connected. 33 people are connected through Zoom. So a thing which, when connected with Krishna, has value. When it is not connected with Krishna, it's just like child's play, means it's actually not beneficial to us. And we can see after a while, it becomes the cause of stress. This is one example. Can you think of more examples? Automobile. What else? Earlier, people used to work within a radius of how much they used to be able to walk or cycle to. तो कोई टेंशन ही नहीं था. Now the boss will tell you, अगले हफ्ते ये देखो ये 5 बोर्डिंग पास है, 5 अलग cities में जाके आ जाना. What else? Sorry? Bomb. There was a 6-7 years back, I think in 2015 or 16, the US government had released a statement wherein they said, if we want the world to be a safe place, we have to invest $2 trillion in weapons. मतलब सबके पास बॉम्ब रहेगा तो कोई भी किसी पे नहीं फेंकेगा, क्योंकि उसको मालूम मैंने उसको फेंका तो वो मेरे को फेंकेगा, तो वो सेफ्टी है. What else? सारी 3 चीज खराब है जिंदगी में: ऑटोमोबाइल, फोन एंड बॉम्ब. Yeah, it's so degraded. If you just sometimes go to YouTube and type 1980s movie or 80s ka serials or 1960s ka movies, and now you see what's happening now, you'll be shocked. The serials of the 80s or the movies of the 70s and 60s, they were much more pious, moral. Even the heroines used to be like covered. What maximum they used to wear some sari. Now it's like, It is sinful. The kind of entertainment that people are having, the kind of podcasts and YouTube shorts and what all crap on Netflix and this that, it's actually sinful. Just watching it is also sinful because it will create all bad impressions in the mind. Dead civilization. Prabhupada gives 3 examples of this. Clarified butter on ashes. आहुति डालते हैं ना, किसमें डालते हैं? Fire. When there is wood and there is fire, जब वो बुझ जाता है, उसके बाद आप घी डाल के स्वाहा स्वाहा बोलो, उसका कुछ वैल्यू है? One more example gives accumulation of money by magic wand. लगेगा कि हाँ ऐसे छड़ी कुछ कर लिया और पैसे आएंगे. And third example he gives sowing seeds in a barren land. Not gonna happen. You can have one more example. Sugar cane बाहर जो होता है वो फोल्ड कर करके वापस डालेगा एक पॉइंट पे वो भी फेंक देगा उसको. There's no rust left. How is this related to what we are discussing? अरे हाँ अच्छा एग्जांपल दिया, क्यों दिया पर? How is this related to what we are discussing? To think that there is happiness in this material world is just like putting ghee in ashes. It is just like sowing seeds in a barren land. It is just like trying to remove the juice from a fully squeezed out ganna. There is no happiness in this material world which is independent of Krishna. There cannot be. That's why Arjuna in this verse is saying, I am the same Arjuna. This is the same arrow. This is the same bow. Everything is the same. But the result is different because Krishna is not there. The same things can bring happiness. If the seed is sown in a fertile land, ugega kuch. If butter, ghee is poured on fire, uthega wo. Similarly, if we engage our senses in Krishna's service, happiness will be there. Sarvopadi vinir muktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Bhakti is when the senses are used in the service of Krishna, and that's when happiness can be there. So the surest way, Prabhupada says, of being peaceful in the material world is to use our talent and our energy in Krishna's service. Okay, this point is clear, everyone? Simple thing, but the benefit of Srimad Bhagavatam, the reason why Srimad Bhagavatam is there is through the lives of great devotees, these principles are brought out. We always say we should utilize things in Krishna's service. And if Krishna doesn't want, things will not happen. Here it is proved by Arjuna's example. When he's saying that, look, it's all the same. But now because Krishna is not there, nothing is happening. I can't do anything without Krishna. As devotees, when we start having this kind of a feeling that, see, I need Krishna's blessings in my life. I need Krishna's mercy in my life. And if it's not there, there's no value of my life. That's when we are actually devotees. Before every meeting or before every day or before any activity, if we think, Krishna, if you want, then this will be successful. If you don't want, it will not be successful. If you don't want, at least you give me the maturity to accept it. Ultimately, it can happen only if you want. That is like proper humility. That's the mood of a devotee. The next 3 verses describe how the Yadus ultimately killed each other. And the purport Prabhupada mentions, we should not get bewildered by these activities, thinking that how did Krishna's family members die? When Krishna left Dwarka, he had sent his messenger that, see, I am leaving now. So, Uddhava, he said, I am leaving now. So, you tell all the residents of Dwarka that the ocean is going to come and destroy Dwarka. Uske pehle nikal lo. Arjuna ko bolo, mere sab wives ko leke jayega. So, that's what happened. And then on the way, Arjuna was also attacked, and those princesses were queens were kidnapped. Prabhupada writes in the purport, actually the person who kidnapped them was Krishna only, because these princesses were cursed by Ashtavakra Muni, because they were laughing at his deformed body. So he cursed them that you will one day, when you're married, after that you'll be kidnapped, and you'll be put into trouble. And so then they begged him, they pleaded him, they pacified him. So then he blessed them that yes, ultimately the Lord will protect you. So then Krishna thought, अभी ये वो मुनि का भी करना है, satisfy, like who? ब्रह्मा जी का तो कर दिया satisfy, तो मुनि जी का तो छोटा ही चीज है, तो अभी करना है kidnap इनको. But when these princesses, they took my shelter, so I gave them my shelter. So I'll only kidnap them. तो मुनि जी का भी वो हो जाएगा satisfy, कर्ज पूरा हो जाएगा और अपना भी काम हो जाएगा. And Prabhupada says ultimately, Krishna only involves his close associates in his pastimes. And then he goes, there's no point of those associates staying. So it takes them. So externally, it seemed that they got cursed and the ocean came and everything got destroyed. But actually, it was just a way of Krishna winding up his pastimes. Then Arjuna says that all of this happens because of Krishna's will. He says, factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and other times they protect one another. So that is how devotees should think. Whatever happened, it happened because of the will of Krishna. Can someone read loudly?
Not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Discretion is the better part of the year, and one must learn how to discriminate actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. There is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of the Lord. Such action is called yoga, karmas, kausalam, or actions performed which are linked to the Supreme Lord. That is the art of doing a thing perfect.
Such a nice point Prabhupada makes, that an action is judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. Am I doing good in life? Am I doing the right thing? Judge it by whether Krishna approves of that activity or not. Whether Krishna will be happy with that activity or not. And then Prabhupada says, there is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of God. There's no room of, ठीक है, मेरे हिसाब से ठीक है. It is as per the guidance of Krishna. So when we say everything happens by the will of the Lord, we should also understand उसका ये मतलब नहीं है कुछ बुरा कर लिया और हाँ ठीक है भगवान की इच्छा थी हो गया. That is my free will. I'm misusing it. I should always think, okay, let me consult the devotees and understand whether this whatever I want to do is approved by the Shastra or not. It is approved by the Acharyas or not. Is it approved ultimately by Krishna or not? Whether this profession I want to get into, or this kind of lifestyle I want to lead, or this kind of plans I want to make, whether or this kind of thinking that I have, whether it is bona fide or not. Ultimately, whether it will give pleasure to Krishna or not. Ultimately, this life is meant to give pleasure to Krishna. Jiver Swarup hoy Krishnera Nityadas. The constitutional position of every living entity is to be a servant of Krishna. Your servant, your maid, or your cook, or your dhobi, or your driver, what are they meant to do? What do you want them to get? You want your dhobi to iron clothes nicely and give. If he sends you next day clothes with pan stains in it, oh, मेरा मन किया ऐसे थोड़ा आपका वो बहुत white हो रहा था तो थोड़ा color डाल दिया उसमें. If your maid thinks, आज झाड़ू छोड़ दो चलेगा. If your driver starts driving on the opposite side of the road, it's not, it's their loss. Similarly, if we start to think, this is body is for my pleasure, this intelligence for my pleasure, this money is for my pleasure, this talents I have, कुछ तो करूँगा अपने लिए भी, ये भगवान के लिए भी करेंगे, अपने कुछ तो करें. But a devotee will think, my life is meant for Krishna. And it's meant for Krishna's pleasure. And therefore, every decision in my life should be as per whether the Lord will approve of it or not. Whether Krishna will be happy with this or not. And Arjuna and the Pandavas used to always think like that. And therefore, Arjuna then starts, now that he's in this situation, which situation is Arjuna in? What is he feeling? He's feeling despondent. And then what is he feeling? Grateful. Feeling grateful to Krishna. He's saying, oh, I am the same Arjuna, the same bow, same arrow, same opposite party, same horses. पहले मैं hero था, अभी मैं zero हो गया हूँ. Being grateful to Krishna. And when difficulty comes in the life of a devotee who feels grateful to Krishna, and that difficulty, then what will a devotee think of? Think of Krishna. And so Arjuna is feeling attraction now. The despondency which turned into gratitude is now turning into attraction for Krishna. Arjuna says, Desha kalartha yuktani Hritta popashamani cha Haranti smarataschitam Govinda bihitani me. Arjuna said, now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. The same previous verse he said, Kuch mere haath mein nahi hai abhi. It was all happening because of Krishna. And now, in that same Arjuna who's thinking, I don't know, who's sometimes happens that when you go home, your parents say, kya ho gaya dekho? Shakal se malum pada there's something wrong. That Arjuna, who was like completely dead, the life of his life left, and he was completely finished, like a teenager after a breakup. हो गया, life खत्म हो गया, everything. It's like that. Or a teenager who's forgotten a Facebook password. That's even worse. Arjuna was like that. And that turn, see, we have to appreciate from Bhagavatam how a devotee thinks. From that horrible situation where thinking सब कुछ खत्म हो गया, his mind went into, well, जो भी था अच्छा वो कृष्णा के वजह से था. It turned into gratitude. When we feel bad, when something bad happens, we start to think more negative. अभी क्या होगा? आगे जाके क्या होगा? अरे वो कोई तो वापस अटैक कर लेगा हस्तिनापुर, दुर्योधन का कोई तो किधर तो कुछ नाजायज बच्चा किधर तो कुछ होगा, वो आ जाएगा, तो अभी तो कुछ है ही नहीं, हम लोग का सब पावर, एक बो वहां तक नहीं जा रहा है मेरा, क्या होगा क्या होगा, अरे बाप रे क्या होगा, फिर चले गए, क्या होगा, इतने सारे एनिमीज है हमारे. A king has lot of enemies. Or Modi ji has more enemies than friends, right? Any successful man or woman will have more enemies than friends. So he could have easily thought, we think, right? Something bad happens, we magnify it. क्या होगा, ये होगा, फिर वो होगा, फिर ये खराब होगा, फिर वो खराब होगा, मेरा तो लाइफ खत्म हो गया. Instead of thinking that, what is thinking? वो जो भी अच्छा हुआ था, वो जो भी अच्छा हुआ था, वो जो भी अच्छा हुआ था, वो जो भी अच्छा, सब कृष्णा की वजह से हुआ. देखो, पहले ये सब चीजें मैं कर पा रहा था, now I cannot do. It's all because of Krishna. And then, in that mood, he's remembering instructions of Krishna. Means, what is he remembering? Bhagavad Gita. None of you read the purport, no? Anyone here read the purport? I'll give you free Janmashtami Kalash. Worth 41,000 rupees. Nobody read the purport. Please read the purport. It's meant for a reason, to read. After 15 minutes, you will have something on your plate. It's called food. It's meant to eat. You won't just look at it and think, ठीक है यार, देखेंगे बाद में. A purport is meant to read. In that purport, Prabhupada says, Arjuna means the Bhagavad Gita. When he's talking about this, he's remembering the Bhagavad Gita. Can someone read?
Again, after the departure of the Lord from the middle of the earthly kingdom, when Arjuna was face to face with being vanquished in his acquired power and prominence, he wanted again to remember the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita, just to tell all the concerned that Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all physical times, not only for soldiers from all kinds of mental abilities, but also for the way out of the great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour.
Prabhupada ki. See, all of us became devotees for some reason. There was some dissatisfaction in our life, we became devotees. Now we became devotees, things became nice. Then later on when problems happen, what? Go back to that same thing. Why you became a devotee? Prabhupada saying, वो थोड़े दिन पहले, थोड़े साल पहले अर्जुना डिफिकल्टी में था, कृष्णा ने गीता बोला. अभी अर्जुना डिफिकल्टी में क्या कर रहा है? He is remembering those same instructions. 5 years back, 2 years back, 1 year back, 10 years back, 12 years back, 15 years back, whatever was the cause which Krishna consciousness surpassed, and I got attracted to Krishna. Now when there are difficulties in my life, that same thing will not work. Of course it will work. Right? We tend to forget the basics. When we are told, Mataji, you need to chant, but hey, वो सब solution मत दो यार, कुछ और दो. प्रभु, be little more Krishna. अरे कुछ solution दो. यही solution है. This is the solution. Practical solution. This is the practical solution. Otherwise, Mahaprabhu would not have come to give the holy name. Krishna would not have wasted time to speak 700 verses. This is the solution. Prabhupada is saying that same Arjuna who had problem at that time when Krishna gave Bhagavad Gita, now when Krishna is not in front of him, Arjuna is intelligent enough to understand. वो same instructions अभी भी काम करेंगे. In 2007, when I became a devotee, because of whatever was the dissatisfaction in my life for whatever reason, and I got attracted to the words of Prabhupada or to the instructions of devotees, that same thing is applicable even now. Problem may have a different packaging, my life may be completely different, my situation may be completely different, but the process is the same. 5000 years पहले जो काम किया, अभी भी काम करेगा. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita has everything. And that's why we have this nightly reading of Bhagavad Gita. When after the first reading of Chad, some devotees, अभी क्या करेंगे? Bhagavad Gita करेंगे वापस. और वापस करेंगे, और वापस करेंगे. Until the time we don't drop dead, we should read Bhagavad Gita every day. Because this is Krishna's Vani. It's not only meant for Arjuna, it's meant for each and every one of us. Prabhupada says, it is not just for solace from all kind of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour. Ultimately, this means at the time of death, we should not think of something that will bring us back to this material world. We should apply the instructions of Bhagavad Gita in life in such a way that at the time of death, we can remember Krishna's instructions. Imagine someone remembers a shloka of Bhagavad Gita and then they die. Is there any doubt? Is there any doubt? Uska kya hone wala? Today, somebody asked a question on our chat thing. That 8th chapter में Krishna बोल रहे हैं कि during this time, if you pass away, you get a better destination. So that means anyone who dies in that, he goes back to Godhead. So we replied that अगर ऐसा होता तो हम सब contract sign करेंगे कि वो टाइम पे मुझे आके मार देना. 50 साल बाद वो टाइम पे मुझे आके मार देना. It doesn't happen that way. As long as we think, we should lead life in such a way that we can think of Krishna at the time of death. And whatever attracted us to Krishna consciousness works even now. The only thing is maybe at that time we were more simple-hearted, and now familiarity breeds contempt. And now we think, अरे पता है मुझे जब करना चाहिए. वो बोलेंगे कि 16 माला अच्छे से नहीं होता है, नहीं तो बोलेंगे सुबह उठते नहीं हो, नहीं तो बोलेंगे प्रभुपाद का बुक्स नहीं पढ़ते, देखो पर्पट भी पढ़ के नहीं आते हैं. नहीं तो बोलेंगे यात्रा पे नहीं आते हैं, नहीं तो बोलेंगे डिवोटी एसोसिएशन नहीं करते. But this is the solution. Today our Chaitanya Prabhu gave Bhagavatam class. He said that there are four things in which Krishna is always there. He says Tulsi, Ganga, association of devotees, and Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we feel despondent, associate with devotees. We feel despondent, read Bhagavatam. Whether you are a one-day devotee or you are a 50-year-old devotee, the solutions are the same. And if we take it up nicely, those solutions will in fact bring more and more and more higher pleasure. The taste will become more and more. So many devotees are there. They'll just take their bead bag, go in some place and keep chanting. They derive happiness from that. So all happiness, all pleasure, all peace is there in Krishna's words and in Krishna's activities. And we have to always remember that. Whatever we know in life, in our devotion life till now, is enough to be a first class devotee. We have to apply that in our life. Right? So to summarize, all energy and power is derived from Krishna. Everyone agrees? Anyone disagrees? Misdirected civilization is useless. What is it like? Child's play, right? It's like child's play. बच्चों ने कुछ ब्रिज बनाया, कुछ खाना बनाया, कुछ ये बनाया, सोने के पहले सब टूट जाएगा. तो सिमिलरली हमने बना लिया, जो भी गवर्नमेंट्स बना लिए, ब्रिज बना लिए, सब. If it is not connected to Krishna, it is child's play. It's useless. Everything happens by the will of Krishna. And therefore, a pure devotee develops attraction to the words and instructions of Krishna. And Prabhupada says, this is the way of. Now, actually, all these 5 principles which are derived from these 6-7 verses that we discussed today are all there in Bhagavad Gita also. Just to prove, because in the Arjuna concludes this section with saying that I am remembering the teachings of Govinda. He is remembering the Bhagavad Gita. Please read that purport. In that purport, Prabhupada uses the word Bhagavad Gita at least 20 times. It's a long purport. So I thought, to end, we can just prove that everything is there in Bhagavad Gita. Any instruction, any principle, any teaching that we derive from any scripture, we will find it in Bhagavad Gita. And therefore it is called Raja Vidya. Krishna himself, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. It's Raj Vidya. It's the king of knowledge. It's Raja Guyam. It's the king of secrets. Pavitram. It is most purifying. Uttamam. It's the highest. Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam. Pratyakshavagamam dharmam susukham kartum avyayam. And it will bring you susukham, the highest peace. So this first thing, all energy and power is derived from Krishna. Can someone say in which verse Krishna mentions this in Bhagavad Gita? Very good. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajate ma mula bhava samandita. That aham means I. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. I am the source of everything. Any other words? Everything is coming from Krishna. Material things come from Krishna. Spiritual things come from Krishna. Everything comes from Krishna. 7th chapter. Bhumirapo nalo ayu kham mano buddhi revacha ahankara itiyam me bhinna prakriti ashra. Krishna saying this is bhinna prakriti. These 5 plus 3, 8 elements are my external energy. They're all coming from me. Now just see 360 degree view and identify one thing which does not contain any of these 8 elements. Can we look around us and think of even one thing, including the bodies that we are seeing? Can we think of one thing that does not involve these 8 elements? No. And within whatever is moving, Can we think of one thing which does not contain this? Aparyamita swanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhuta mahabhava yetam dharite jagat. No. Therefore, all energy and all power is derived from Krishna. Everything is derived from Krishna. And as Pranjal said, Krishna says in the 10th chapter, Aham sarvasya prabhavo, everything is coming from. And here, he proves how it's coming from me by breaking it down. So this is the first principle. Everything, all power and energy is derived from Krishna. Then we discussed how material civilization is useless. It is like child's play. Any verse from Bhagavad Gita? In that, what is Krishna saying?
That everything is under my control.
It is happening. But he's not saying that it's useless. Very good. Scholar. So what you're saying can be put in the previous thing. All energy and all power is derived from Krishna. So Maya Lakshana Prakriti Suya Desa Characharam. This Prakriti is from me. Actually, it will come. That everything happens by the will of Krishna. Krishna is saying, no, Maya Dakshina Prakriti, it's all moving and because of me. But here specifically, when Krishna is saying that this material world is a useless place. अरे प्रभु जी लोग खाली बोलते हैं useless है, भगवान बोल रहे हैं useless है, हम लोग repeat कर रहे हैं. मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम शाश्वतम नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः. After attaining me, great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. Temporary world full of misery. Material world is full of misery. Krishna is calling it useless. Then Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. Just in case कोई convince नहीं हुआ वो श्लोक से, Krishna next tagline एक और देते हैं. From the highest planet in this material world, New York City, San Francisco, whatever, Switzerland, to the lowest, whatever it is, Dharavi or something where we stay, all are places of misery. Therein repeated birth and death take place. But Mam upetya tu kauntaya punarjanma na vajati. Just come to my abode, Arjuna, and you'll be happy. It's like some cousin of yours in America. बस यहाँ आ जाओ यार, सब कुछ अच्छा है. Krishna is saying, वो अमेरिका छोड़ो, ब्रह्मा लोक तक जाओगे ना, उधर भी दुख है. उसके ऊपर आओ, come to my abode. Everything happens by the will of Krishna. What we discussed. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam hetunanena kauntaya jagat viparivartati. Krishna says, this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. Everything happens by the will of Krishna. Krishna is saying here, this material world works under my direction and produces all moving and non-moving beings. All of us are moving beings. सोचने का क्या? Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. In the 18th chapter, Krishna says, Macchitta sarva durgani mat prasadat tarishyasi atha chitvam ahankaran nashosyasi vinashyasi. If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost. Attraction to Krishna's words. Are you now feeling attraction to Krishna's words? Any verse from Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, Macchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. Krishna is saying, the real pleasure of the devotees is when they talk about me, when they talk about my instructions. So, Arjuna, what he's saying, is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. This will happen. It can happen to all of us. Prabhupada says the way of peace is in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada himself gives the solution also to that. He says, when this verse is there in this section, Prabhupada says, this actually means, and then Prabhupada quotes this, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, O son of Kunti, do that as an offering. Yat karoshi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi, yat asi, yat tapasasi kaunteya, tat purushva madarpanam. This includes everything that anyone can do in life. Before this, few verses before this, Krishna says, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, Yome Bhakta, Pranashati. Offer me leaf, fruit, flower, water. वो preliminary है. ये तो करो. But if you really want to come back, Mam Utpetya Tu Kaunteya Punarjanmanu Vidyati, you want to come back, then do this. Whatever is there in your life, offer it to me. Yat karoshi. Yat karoshi means whatever you eat, whatever you do. उसी में हो गया सब खत्म. Whatever you do, it has to be as an offering to me. What does that imply? What can I not do? I cannot do anything that is not worthy of offering to Krishna. I cannot live life in a way that is not worthy of offering to Krishna. And then Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, 28th verse, 9th chapter, Shubha Shubha Phaler Evam Moksha se Karma Bandhanai Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upasyase. In this way, you will be freed from the bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in the principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Prabhupada concludes this whole section by saying, there is no disparity in the spiritual world because everyone wants to render service to the Supreme Lord and no one wants to imitate the Lord in becoming the beneficiary. The Lord, being the creator of everything, including the living beings, factually is the proprietor and enjoyer of everything that be in the material, but in the material world, by the spell of Maya or illusion, this eternal relation with the Supreme Lord is forgotten. And so the living being is conditioned under the laws of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. What says that Krishna is the beneficiary for everything, and he's the proprietor and enjoyer, and those who forget it, then they are in the cycle of birth and death. So, can we just recap what we discussed today? What did we discuss first? Which principle? Prabhupada, first line, what does he say? Borrowed. We should not be puffed up by borrowed things. And which principle does that lead to? Humility. We should always think that whatever I have belongs to Krishna. Then what did we discuss? Everything is derived from the power and energies of Krishna. And when the material world is devoid of Krishna, then what is it? It's like child's play. It's useless. It doesn't have any value. Then what did we discuss? How Arjuna is saying that everything is the same. Earlier it was working, now it is not. And it's because Krishna is not there. And then how does Arjuna then feel? After feeling despondent, then he feels grateful. Then how does he feel? He feels attraction to Krishna's words. He remembers, oh, मैं बोल रहा था ना जब भी कृष्णा मुझे संन्यास लेना है. And Krishna shouted at me, Asochayan Vasochastvam. No, we chant, Asochayan Vasochastvam. But if actually in the battlefield, Krishna was Asochayan and Vasochastvam, Bhaktavayo Nabhazati, Gatasu Magatasum Sha, Nanu Sochanti Pandita. Arjuna, you fool, you idiot, you're not like a Pandit. You're talking like a Shudra. So he's thinking, वो time पे कृष्णा ने वो बोला, फिर उसने ये बोला, फिर उसने ये बोला, oh, and then he's like, wow, Krishna spoke such wonderful things, and thinking that Arjuna is becoming happy again. And Prabhupada says, whatever worked at that time was working now also. For us also, at the time of the greatest difficulty also, these instructions will work. And we discussed that what attracted us to Krishna consciousness is the solution only. We just have to become better devotees. And then we saw how whatever was there in these 10 verses of Bhagavatam is there in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, please read Bhagavad Gita every day and please Let us live lives in such a way that they can be offered to Krishna. All our activities can be offered to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Any question? Any question online? It's all clear. There's no scope of any question. Okay. So from Monday, which is Ekadashi, Jhulan Yatra will start. So you must have seen now when you went in the temple, that courtyard, again they are setting up. So Monday evening, 7:30 p.m. onwards, 7:30 to 9, there'll be Jhulan, and that will go on from Monday till next Sunday. So you all are invited to come any of those days and swing Shri Shri Radha Rasbihari on their Jhula, on their swing pastimes. Thursday 12th is Balram Purnima. It is the appearance day of Lord Balram. Friday, sorry. So on Friday, we fast till noon for the pleasure of Lord Balram. And then you can watch the Abhishek at Vrindavan YouTube channel because they have deities of Krishna Balram. So Abhishek will be there. And on that day, you go to any ISKCON temple Bhagavatam class and you can hear about Lord Balaram's pastimes. And then next Saturday we'll have our class, and then on 19th is Janmashtami, the appearance day of Lord Krishna. So of course, a lot of activities here at that time. So